We're here. It is time for the first ever edition of Carolina Insider Live. Jones and Adam here with you. Adam, what in the world are we doing here?
We have absolutely no idea. Campus is closed. We walked down the hall and infiltrated this room and we pushed some buttons, and now I hope you got your computers in low power mode because we're ready to go.
But at least you can watch us, not know what we're doing. Man, we're really excited to be here. So let me tell you a little about the Carolina Insider if you don't know what it is. So Adam and I, a couple years ago, started the Carolina Insider podcast, and we have had so much fun doing it, and the reasons are multifold. One is we've had a bunch of great guests, and that goes all the way from Roy Williams and Mack Brown to the governor of the state of North Carolina, Roy Cooper, to Ken Cleary, who's sitting right over here off camera in the studio with us today, and we've had a lot of great Tar Heel conversations with them. We really have had a lot of fun interacting with you, have a great time chatting with the Tar Heel fans in different ways, and we talk Tar Heels and a bunch of stuff in between, and so we've really had a good time doing that. But let me just make sure you understand, it's not a prerequisite that you have listened to the podcast to have a good time with us here on this show. Adam, we really have had fun doing it and hope to grow a little bit here with the live version.
We hope we'll get to talk to some new folks, and we hope we'll get to talk to some folks who have been with us for weeks or months or maybe even years, maybe you're even in the 100% pod club. You can certainly be in the 100% video pod club.
You're already in it.
Starting today, you're in it.
So you don't have to know why El Paso rocks or why Adam hates roundabouts or anything like. Look at that, Adam knows El Paso rocks. Look how happy he is. You don't have to know any of that to be with us here on this show, but we are sure glad that you're here today. So we can't do this alone. We understand that. You don't want to sit here and watch us do this alone. So we have invited three terrific guests with us. And Adam, we thought, what better way to get this started guest-wise than right here in Chapel Hill and on campus, because we understand there are such terrific coaches here at UNC, and we have gathered three of the finest to join us today.
Three of the best at their job in the entire world, much less the country. We've got Mack Brown with us. We've got Courtney Banghart with us.
Oh, there they are.
We've got Joe Breschi with us. Everything's plugged in, and we can see them, and we think they can see us. So we're already off to a roaring start. Coaches, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, Courtney, no big deal. You're the only one without a national championship as far as the coaches on the on the screen up there.
It was just a matter. It was just a matter of time till that came out, and clearly it didn't take long.
Guys, so let's. I just open this up for everybody. Coach Brown, I'll start with you. How's everybody doing? What's going on?
We're doing well. We obviously. A lot of things that we love have been taken away from us, and that's mainly the interaction with our staff and our players, and there's always a little grieving, a little depression sits in, a little anxiety for a lot of different people when stuff like this happen, and we've got to understand it's really serious and that we've lost a lot of lives, and that's tragic. We're all learning how to communicate better like this, and that'll help us on the back end. The players have, they seem to have been amazing with their work ethic and taking their classes online and being with their families and trying to work out, some of them without even having weight rooms. They put sand in their backpacks or put books, and they run and they do squats. And so it's just been fun to watch those guys compete like that. And we're all looking forward to some new normal and get back to work. Sally and I got back in this business for the kids, and that's what we're missing. And the more they're gone, the more we miss them. And I think that just reinforces to all of us that we can't take for granted that we can go to dinner with friends. We can't take for granted that a team meeting's really cool and it's fun, and the interaction with your players in the locker room. It's just it's the reason we do this crazy stuff, and I can't wait to get some of that back.
Coach Banghart, how about you? What's been going on?
Well, I was wondering what Mack was doing with all his free time now that he's not helping women's basketball with their recruiting efforts. So I've given him the spring off, so you better enjoy it, Mack.
I thought you'd thrown me out. I haven't heard from you, so maybe you don't need me anymore.
No, I think it's good for the insiders, people to know how collaborative our coaching staffs have been. And in terms of recruiting the right people here, we've sort of leaned on a lot of the coaches in the department to help with that. Clearly as a new coach here, the timing is trickiest for me because of the recruiting, not able to show off the great people and the great place in a kind of three-dimensional format has forced us to be creative. And like Mack, I miss the people. I miss the coaches. I miss the players. I miss the recruiting. I kind of miss a lot of that. So, we're hanging in and we're getting eager to get started again, and with great gratitude for the people that are making hard decisions ahead of us.
Now, Coach Breschi, I don't even know where to start with how you've handled your quarantine time. I think maybe let's go ahead and rip the lid off just so we can, the proverbial take the Band-Aid off here. Let us see the new lid up there.
Well, I was hoping that Coach Brown would join me as he enters the fall season with a little throwback of the dark hair.
I like it.
Hey, you're undefeated, Joe. Don't forget, you're undefeated, my friend.
That's true. But my sentiment.
You can do that too, by the way. That's the other part of this.
Yes. I tell you, it's been a fun. We've enjoyed it. I have 4 daughters, and they range from 12 to 18, and they've been on Zooms with my team, and we've been spending a lot of time trying to keep that communication going, like the coaches mentioned. But I truly miss the dinners at the house and having the guys over. I live 2.5 miles from campus, so we love that. I know Julie enjoys it, as well as my daughters and dogs. And, of course, now we're raising ducklings, so that's a new addition to the Breschi family. Besides dyeing the hair, we're raising ducklings, and then we dyed the dog's hair. One of our yellow labs is now pink. So, of course, we're spending a lot of time doing that sort of thing and going on a lot of what we call Corona walks. We're on number 44. So we're spending a lot of family time together, but, you can't help but think about the season that was cut short at 7-0 and top 5 in the country. And then looking forward, as we spend a lot of time glass half full with our guys, just talking about what's ahead of us. But we're all excited about it and can't wait to get them back on campus.
I think former pod guest Roy Cooper said yesterday when he announced the state was going to move to phase 2, I think I heard him mention something about we got to get the Breschi family out of their home because I'm very concerned about what's happening there. Coaches, what have you learned, if anything, about how to communicate with your team or what works or what doesn't work during this time when you've had very different communication with them?
Courtney?
Okay, well, I should have invested in Zoom about 6 weeks ago. Spent a lot of time in that format. You can always communicate, right? And we have to do it in a different format, but good teams communicate at an elite level. And we're finding ways to do that. We're playing. We've got a variety of games. It could be categories. It could be Pictionary. It could be Taboo. I mean, we got lots of different games that we're working through as well, so that we can share our personality and come together. So yeah, I would say Zooms and phone calls and FaceTimes and all the things people are doing.
Yeah, I think Courtney on it certainly from our end, we're doing the same thing. It's just a lot of FaceTime, a lot of Zooms, a lot of communication on the phone, which I think is great too. I think sometimes when you have a large group, we have 50 plus guys on the roster and probably more with all the spring seniors having an opportunity to come back. And we certainly invited all 9 seniors to come back for next year. And they're all looking forward to it too. So, but when you have large groups like that, I think it's nice to have that intimate touch. I think of one-on-ones, whether it's FaceTime and just seeing their faces smiling again. I tell you, that's what I miss the most is when the guys are walking to the locker room and they peek their head in and say, "Good morning, coach. We're a morning practice team," which I love. And I think have the opportunity again to see their smiling faces, give them a hug, and get fired up for the next season.
Now, calling every one of them and personally talking to them about where we are and what's going on, because Bubba made a statement early in the process that we should over-communicate. And I think that is true, because we have total responsibility for our programs, and we've got less control than we've ever had. So it's never been more important for us to have a tremendous staff, and the staff has to do a lot of the work, obviously, to recruit and to stay in touch with all of our players. But in talking to our players, just calling them and saying, how are you? How's your family? So many people are out of work, and money's an issue now, and food's an issue, and are you okay? And can we do anything within the rules to help you? How are you working out? How often are you working out? Are you going to be okay with coming back? When we invite you, you're going to be nervous, you're going to be scared. Help us, because if you're nervous, we need to work with you. And we've talked to them about the process that Rick Steinbacher and Corey Holliday and Bubba and our doctors and Kevin are going through to make sure that our facilities are safe. And we're consulting with NFL teams and NBA teams and corporations across the country because we all have questions. There's no playbook for this. And the more questions that we can ask, the more answers we get, the more comfortable we're going to be. And it's so if somebody does get infected by the virus, what do we do? What happens? How do we handle them? Where do they go? What does quarantine mean? What about the people in the same room with the other person? How many people can we have in a room together? Do we have to wear a mask? Can we get on the elevator? Can we hug somebody? Do you elbow bump or do you touch your heart, or do you say, hey, hello, good to see you, or hey, a virtual hug? I mean, we've got the new normal, so I'm trying to communicate with our guys as much as we can and our staff about this is going to be different. It's not the same. And if we want to be back in school and we want to have our sports, we got to go by guidelines. We got to take this very seriously. And if you're someone who doesn't want to wear a mask, you're not wearing it for you. You're wearing it for that person that does want to wear it. And you have that responsibility. So all of us are going to have to give up some of our individualism, which we do for our sports anyway, to make sure that we're all in to make this thing work.
Coach, Jones and I talked about this the other day. Do you think high fives are done in sports?
I'm afraid they're done short term. I hope long term we'll be able to get a vaccine. We will learn to keep our lives cleaner from germs. It's foolish for us to think that this won't happen again at some point in our lives. Just hopefully we're better prepared for it as a group. But I would sure hate to think that my grandkids will not get to high five and hug like I have my whole life. And I hope as a country and as a world, we all value that so much that we work really, really hard to make sure that we can get our interactions back.
Guys, I'd like to ask you, and this may be more specifically for Coach Banghart and Coach Brown, just because it affects their teams, at least in the short term, maybe a little bit more. The news yesterday that men's basketball, women's basketball, football student athletes would slowly start being able to return to campus here in a phased approach. Also, of course, Kevin Guskowitz, the chancellor here at Carolina, just announcing earlier today that the semester will look a little different, at least as of now, starting earlier in August and being finished before Thanksgiving. Obviously, that would affect both your seasons. Coach Banghart, I'll start with you. Just how that news hit you? How do you think that will change things and how you guys approach it?
Yeah, I was actually I was on a Zoom call with a recruit and her family, and I got a text from one of our incoming kids that said, Coach, I just saw the news, and then it had those like two eyeballs. And I was like, previously thinking, what happened, and so the news that I didn't know if someone had committed or whatnot, and the news that she had shared was that the June 1st NCAA opening up a little bit of some voluntary activity. Now, we are going to always operate under the guidelines of Carolina, and Carolina's not yet open. So I do think men's, women's basketball and football will be back as a phased approach a bit earlier. They're going to be a little bit disrupted now that if we typically have that kind of 2-week exam period, and now with the flexibility that we can have contractually, but you hope that changes. So we know I've shared really basic information with families because I want to make sure we have a clear approach to Mack's point about what the safety measures are going to be before we just assume that everybody's on the same page. But exciting to even be in a process of movement forward at a little bit more together time.
Coach Brown, how about you?
I think the same as Courtney. The NCAA's had a very difficult job because there's no playbook for them either, and they're trying to make rules that we've had for years on campus fit off campus, and that's hard to do. It's hard to make them all fit. So they're trying a little bit more to be flexible, but the more we can have kids around us in a safe manner, the more they can get back to their more normal and work out and eat properly. They need the support system that we have, and they depend on that, and they miss that. They miss each other. They miss us, but they need the support. So I applaud the NCAA for allowing kids to come back June 1st and start getting some of their normal life back. And they're going to have to embrace differences too. They're going to have to do things differently. And, we've got smaller elevators in our building. They'll probably have to walk the stairs. We'll have to walk the stairs. There won't be as many people on elevators together. We're talking about where we can meet, that we can spread out. We're talking about having masks on when we're in our building, except for in our office. And we may not be able to bring anybody in our office. All of us are different, but I think our lives are going to be different. But right now, guys, I think the most important thing is we're practicing to be different. Courtney said it. We're not going to bring our student athletes back until they're safe. And we know they're safe, and we have a procedure in place. We're not going to bring our assistant coaches back until we know that they can walk in that building, and we want everybody to be comfortable. We've got Javon DeWitt that just went through a year of throat cancer. I've told him, don't come back until you're ready. And he said, Coach, I'm ready because I know it's going to be safe. And we're so blessed to have our hospitals and our doctors and brilliant people that are helping Kevin and Bubba with this reentry phase. So people have asked me, you're older, you're in that group that they say this virus isn't very friendly with. I'm in good shape. I'm taking care of myself. I'm walking every day. And if I can't go back to work when I see our first responders and our healthcare people out there every day working to make it where we can live, we don't need to be talking about me being scared. I mean, these people are heroes. They're unbelievable. I had a young guy come to the house yesterday and drop something off. He said, hey, Coach, glad you're back, man. When's football season starting? And let's go. And I'm thinking, here he is. He's working. He's trying to help me. So I'm not concerned at all about coming back to work. And from the response of our staff and the players, I think they're all excited, as Courtney said, to be phased back in the way that Carolina feels like we will be the safest.
About 2 or 3 more minutes with our 3 coaches here today, and again, appreciate you guys being with us. I'd be interested in, Coach Banghart kind of joked about this earlier, but how do the coaches on campus interact and try to help one another? How does that relationship work? I know in season, obviously, you guys are slammed with what you're doing, but Coach Breschi, I'll start with you. How do you guys try and aid one another and help each other out?
I tell you, we are so fortunate to have such a tight-knit group of coaches at Carolina who are always willing to open their doors, spend some time with our student athletes, our recruits. I remember Coach Brown, I think he was here a week and I was already in his ear, and he was more than welcome to open his doors to us and spend some time, and has met with several of our recruits. And guess what, Coach? You're batting 100%, so keep it rolling.
Joe, that's pressure.
Yes. So, with Coach Brown and obviously Coach Banghart and, Coach Williams, same thing. I mean, we just spend so much time together and see each other all the time. And, when you talk about family, all I think about and all the recruits feel when they come to campus is that Carolina family. And even if you're just walking through campus, showing the facilities, Courtney will come out and say hello, and Coach Williams will say hi. They'll stop. Where are you from? And that's what family's all about. And that's what these student athletes and certainly their parents look for when they're starting to thinking about choosing a college and a university. And Carolina is just very, very special.
Yeah, I've been asked by many people, many of my Princeton kind of network have asked me, have you met Mack Brown, or have you met, Joe Breschi, or have you met, whoever, Mike Fox or Roy Williams, and I don't even really know how to answer it. It's like, have I met them? They've like picked me up and carried me through my first year. And so I think that kind of says it all when they're just wondering if I've met them, and these are people that if I call and say, I remember I was watching Mack's game, they were playing Duke, and we had a big recruiting weekend that weekend, or a handful of recruits on. And I told him, Mack, I'm going to be really honest. I don't want to miss your game, but I got to talk to these recruits. And he connected me with his guy who said, why don't you use his office? And so just kind of do one player and then send him back down the elevator. The next one will come up. And at least while they're traveling, I can watch some of the game. And I think that kind of says it all, is that I used his office so that I could watch him play as much as I could while recruiting. So I have felt really grateful as a first-time coach here at Carolina. These guys have not only cared about me, but have made sure that their imprint is on our program with their presence. So I have endless gratitude for that, for the coaches in this department.
And our coaches are fun. They're smart. They win. They win the right way. So we all have so much in common that we coach the same way, and that's important. And I told Joe and Courtney I'm mad at them because I got enough problem pulling for my team. Now I got to pull for theirs. So I get upset when we lose, and I'm throwing things at the house. And so I say, "What are you doing?" I say, "God, come on, Courtney, what are you doing, man? Finish."
Yeah. I got a text from Roy Williams the day we were playing NC State. We ended up winning the game, but he sent me a text that morning and he said, "I don't want to bother you on game day, but you have to beat NC State." And I walked down to my state, and Mack is 3 rows back saying, "Come on, we got this." So that kind of says it all.
Well, and not every place is like this. That's the other thing. For us to say this, it's real. And most athletic departments, especially some this big, don't communicate very well, and there's jealousy, and there's issues with different sports, and so this is really cool.
Guys, thank you all so much for taking some time in the middle of the day to be with us. Thank you for what you do for Carolina each and every day, and always so much fun to talk with you. Look forward to being back with you, maybe a little closer than we are right now here in the near future.
High fives, everybody.
There you go, Coach. A virtual hug from Coach Brown. Thank you, guys. Good to see everybody. Mack Brown, Courtney Banghart, Joe Breschi joining us here on Carolina Insider Live. And Adam, that's part of why Carolina is Carolina. It's people like the three that we just talked to.
Well, and Coach Brown said it right there at the end that not every place is like this. I think we sort of take it for granted because this is what we're used to. But I think if you go around the country, you find out you don't find, much less 3 coaches, you don't find 3 people like that just regularly inhabiting athletic departments.
All right, time to finish things up here on the show. And Adam, we're going to do it with the BMW Social Drive, brought to you by your local North Carolina BMW dealers, providing legendary performance, exceptional offers, and a premium ownership experience. Test drive the ultimate driving machine today. There's a couple ultimates in that picture right there.
Jones and Adam.
Yeah, the two of us. Adam, who we are with right there is Karen Shelton, of course, the Hall of Fame head coach of Carolina's field hockey program, and Erin Matson, and it is Erin who we want to focus on here today.
What an incredible honor for Erin Matson, as the ACC has named her the Female Athlete of the Year. She's the only sophomore to ever win that award. She's the second straight Tar Heel to win that award. Ashley Hoffman won it last year, also from field hockey. Of course, we had Erin on the pod right after the Tar Heels won the national championship back in the fall. Just an incredible career, and she's only been going for 2 years here in Chapel Hill. 2 national championships, hasn't lost a single game, James.
Yeah, Adam, do you think she is the most dominant current athlete in the NCAA? These are her numbers now. 2-time first-team All-America, 2-time ACC Offensive Player of the Year, 2-time national champion, 46-0 in her college career. It's hard to be a lot more successful than that.
Well, and if you listen to that pod interview, which of course you did, and if you didn't, you're going to go download it, what you might remember is Jones volunteered to stop shots from Erin.
Yeah.
Jones was going to put on the goalie pads.
I'm waiting for the call.
And get in the, well, evidently she's been busy winning things. Jones is going to get in the goal, and Erin's going to take, was it 10 shots?
10 shots. And how many could I stop?
And you said you could stop
1.
And Coach Shelton said she wasn't sure about the 1.
Yeah.
Which I think is right.
Erin Matson, anytime. I'm ready. Anytime. Let's do this. Okay, Adam, from one student athlete to another, Sam Howell, Tar Heel quarterback, has gotten a lot of buzz here in the preseason before the 2020 football campaign, and one of those came from David Hale, who does a terrific job covering the ACC, and you see has Carolina ranked as the second in the ACC as far as QB rankings, and a lot of that has to do, of course, with Sam.
And when you think about the buzz that our previous guest, Mack Brown, has brought back to Carolina football, it's this kind of thing. It's people talking highly about Carolina football in the month of May and having high expectations for Carolina football in the month of May. And as Jones mentioned, that's not just about the starter, it's also 20% based on your quarterback depth. And Carolina, for the first time in a while, looks like they've got a lot of good depth in the quarterback room.
Yeah, Jace Ruder healthy after a year last season in which he was injured. Jacoby Criswell, young player who has come in for Carolina. It's a really good quarterback room that the Tar Heels have. And, of course, the more talent you have in the room, the better. We've seen that with running backs and wide receivers in particular here recently for Carolina. And now you got the quarterback in the mix. Adam, the trip to the western part of the state. I know you take it often, and that includes Marion, North Carolina. We were sent this tweet from listener of the pod, Anthony Valini. Adam, this sign has been up since 2011. I know you've seen it multiple times, and one of those historic road signs. And look, it's Coach Williams.
Everybody's familiar with these types of historic markers. You see them by the side of the road everywhere you go in North Carolina. A couple cool things about this one. Number one, your screen is not deceiving you. It actually is Carolina blue. I think it's the only marker of its type that is Carolina blue, so that's cool. Number two, you see right there below it, the donors who contributed to put this up. I see a couple pod listeners on that list. I see a couple Rams Club members on that list who helped make this a reality. And just a cool thing, there's a big debate about where Roy Williams' actual birthplace was. Asheville was trying to get in there. A couple other places in Western North Carolina. Coach Williams wrote a letter to Marion back in 2011 and said, yep, I was born right there in Marion. Go ahead, put the marker up. They did. He attended the dedication of the monument there.
Monument
might be strong.
Marion General Hospital. It said it right there on the sign.
That's right.
Sign's not going to lie.
No.
Last thing, Adam, that we have the name Dylan Sorensen. You may or may not know that name. He is an assistant coach for Carolina's track and field program. His specialty is distance. Dylan recently ran a mile in 4 minutes and 37 seconds. That in and of itself is impressive. But Adam, Dylan did it while dribbling a basketball, wearing sweet shades and a Tar Heel Jordan jersey as well. The 4:37 mile while dribbling the basketball, a world record. A world record.
I love everything about this at this time in our nation's history. I love imagining...
What track is that, Adam?
A speedy one. I love imagining what was happening as this idea was hatched. See, Dylan, close to a double dribble right there, but we let it go. Teddy V had his back turned, so he didn't see it. So I like how Dylan was just sitting there thinking, you know, I bet I could run a mile in X time, 4.5 minutes. And then somebody said, oh yeah, how fast could you do it dribbling a basketball? And he's like, well, let's go out to the track. I'm going to put on my Michael Jordan jersey. I'm going to dribble a mile in 4 minutes and 37 seconds. That's an incredible time just for the mile. And then to do it while dribbling and then to be able to have a conversation afterward, some of us would have been prone on the asphalt, wheezing in pain. Jones, how fast could you dribble a basketball in a mile?
How fast can I run a mile?
While dribbling a basketball. Did you see the video?
Yeah.
Okay.
If I knew I was only doing 1 mile.
Yeah, 1 mile capped.
So I can go all out.
You cannot train with Dylan beforehand. You've got to do it like right now.
8.5. 8 minutes, 30 seconds. I can't give 4:37. I can do 8.5 easy.
Do you think you're more likely to stop one shot from Erin Matson in the field hockey goal or be able to dribble 8.5?
I am more likely to do the mile in 8.5.
I think that's right.
I'll do it. Next show, I'll see how I did. Do I have to dribble a basketball the whole time? So if I lose the basketball, it's null and void.
Well, I don't know. I think if you kick it down the block, I think then it's null and void.
Right.
I think if you
it's
just
like
lose
advancing a fumble forward.
Yeah, I think it's not rugby.
Right.
I think if you lose your dribble, you can pick it up and keep going. I don't think it has to be a simultaneous 4.5 minute dribble. You're not Cole Anthony out here setting up
Sure.
the ISO. So I think as long as you don't punt it, I think you can keep going. Those appeared to be the rules that Dylan was playing under.
All right, next show. Coach, 8.5 minutes.
Roy Williams has already sent that video to his team and told them that that would be their preseason conditioning this fall. That is actually true. He did that.
All right, quick reminder. We're going to do a couple of these shows. We're going to do these through the summer. We'll let you know when they're coming out. Going to have some great guests, have some fun social stuff to work with you. We're trying to work it out that we can take some questions from you during the show as well. Think we're going to get that figured out here soon so we can interact with you while we're doing the show. Hope to get that going by the next time we do this. And of course, you can download the Carolina Insider at any point in time. Have one coming out tomorrow. In fact, on Friday, I've got a great guest, Billy Cunningham, in the Basketball Hall of Fame, an all-time Tar Heel, is our guest. So we've got a lot of fun stuff coming up with that. And again, that is a pretty regular show. We come out at least once a week even here during this crazy time. Adam, now there is a very official way that we say goodbye on the Carolina Insider. Can you give us the thumbnail version of how this happened?
I always enjoy telling this story because I do it pretty much every pod. And it relates to Eric Montross, the center on the 1993 National Championship team, current officer of the Rams Club, who they do a great job raising money to support all the student athletes we've been talking about, like Erin Matson. When you join the Rams Club, you're helping her, and she's a pretty good person to help. So we're at breakfast with Eric, the 2017 season in Memphis, Tennessee, during the NCAA tournament, the weekend of the Kentucky game. You might remember it. Luke May hit a big shot. We're at breakfast. A couple other people are there, including Ken Cleary, who's right over there. And Eric orders grits. We're at the Blue Plate Cafe, a diner type place in Memphis. Eric says, I want grits. Okay, our waitress Katrina has heard of grits. But then Eric pauses for just a moment and he says, I want big grits. Katrina didn't know what that was, nor did anyone else at the table. So everyone was very perplexed. But Eric knew that he wanted big grits. So Eric and Katrina continued to kind of go back and forth the rest of the breakfast, kind of rib each other a little bit. You know how Eric is. And so finally we're done eating. Eric's going up to the front of the diner to pay. Obviously Eric's paying for the table. And Katrina's back in the kitchen being a hardworking Katrina. Katrina sticks her head out of the kitchen and yells across the Blue Plate Cafe in Memphis, "See you later, big grits." Obviously, from that point forward, we had to refer to Eric as Big Grits. And at the end of every podcast, we say, "See you later, Big Grits." And that's how we've been doing it for almost 3 years now.
Adam, I feel like you should have the honor here on Carolina Insider Live, number one.
See you later, Big Grits.